administrative adjudication of road traffic offences, or I suppose more commonly known as Aarto Bill, has been signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa. The bill, with its demerit point system, will come into effect once it has been published in the Government Gazette. There's been strong criticism of the bill, which has been described as infringing on people's rights. But to tell us more, we're joined in studio by Japh Chuwe, who is the CEO of the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, or the RTIA, and they will, of course, be regulating the Aarto Bill. Good to see you, Japh. Thanks so much for being with us.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having us.
So let's sort of get to the nitty-gritty of timelines and dates. So we see it's been signed into law. Any idea when it will be announced in the Government Gazette? Have there been approximate timelines to this?
Well, it's an administrative process. It could come any time. But the fact that the President has signed the bill means the bill has now become law. We are not waiting for anything because, as the Minister welcomed it on Sunday, this is part of the first process of actually rolling it out among the suite of services that we intend to bring to the people in the country.
All right, so this is going to happen in one form or the other. But let's understand it. So from what we've been told, this demerit system, all drivers have got 12 merits. Doesn't matter what vehicle you drive, a truck, a car, a motorbike, whatever it is. And this will be deducted from you for every infringement you make.
It actually works the other way around. Every driver will start with a clean slate at 0 points.
Oh, so it's you work your way up to 12?
You work your way up to 12.
Okay.
12 is the threshold number that has been put. As soon as an infringer exceeds the threshold of 12 points, then the suspension of driving licenses or operator cards comes into effect. And the suspensions related thereto is for every point that one is over the threshold, the applicable document is suspended for a period of 3 months. If one is sitting at 13 points, then the license is suspended for 3 months. Sitting at 15 points, then it means it's 3 months multiplied by 3, then you will be out of the driving fold for a period of 9 months.
Okay.
We are not using the Aarto only as a punitive measure. It also has intention of rehabilitating drivers and to ensure that people get to understand their roles, their rights and responsibilities. To that effect, we expect that with that understanding, people will start displaying the behavior that is expected. And if you go for a period of 3 months without committing any further traffic violation, we recognize that as good behavior. We will therefore reward you by reducing the number of demerit points on one's record by 1 point for every 3 months that you go without committing any further violation. So somebody sitting at 13 points, being suspended for 3 months, we will have the reduction by 1 point. Then it takes you to 12, you will come back into the driving fold. You continue another 3 months without any further violations, we recognize that as good behavior, we still reduce it by another point. So it 1 point that gets reduced for every 3 months until one has eliminated all the points that you back at square zero, which is the ultimate responsibility that we're placing on everybody else to want to be at a clean slate.
So if we look at different offences, obviously those will be given different points. So
absolutely.
What do we look at? I mean, if I am caught speeding, driving over the speed limit, how many demerits do I get?
Yes, the first thing that we want people to be able to understand, the severity of the infringement is the one that actually determines the number of demerit points that will be allocated. And basically we're looking at the possibility of somebody either losing their lives or somebody else losing their lives or causing serious injuries. So the quantum of those demerit points will be determined on that. If we take, for example, somebody that is caught driving under the influence of alcohol, that's a very dangerous offense, and people actually lose their lives in that respect. So we allocate the highest number of demerit points. The threshold is 12. You automatically have 6 demerit points that have been allocated at that particular point. Another one of the most common infringements that people do, we have a lot of novice drivers and people rushing out to go to other meetings or going about their business. So somebody gets caught driving while texting or using their cell phone. So for that kind of infringement, you have 1 demerit point that is allocated. Another one of the despicable ones, where you find somebody being caught excessively speeding. And excessive speeding is one that does greater than 30 km per hour in a particular demarcated zone. So you could be in a 60-kilometer zone and you are caught doing 95 kilometers per hour. Those type of infringements automatically are classified amongst the highest category because there's greater chances that somebody can have serious injury or even fatalities. Then we also allocate the highest number of demerit points related thereto. We've got all of those determined and detailed in Schedule 3 of the Aarto regulations. The full list is available either on aarto.gov.za or rtia.co.za.
Okay. So a lot of people questioning as well, I am caught speeding, or am I caught speeding? Not sure, but you've got my word against the traffic officer's word, and the traffic officer's word is the final say, and I automatically get that point against my name. So it's almost like you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent, which our law doesn't work in that way. What rights do I have?
That is a myth. Thank you very much for that. That is a myth that we want to also dispel. The demerit points are not allocated at the point of citation. The officer will cite you by the side of the road and say, this is the infringement that you are alleged to have committed. The key thing about the Aarto is it gives one an empowerment in terms of a number of elective options that are provided, amongst which is challenging even the mere citation of that infringement by submitting a representation that you have a chance to be able to put your side of the story. Now, the traffic officers are the ones that issue infringements, and they are employed by the local departments or the provincial traffic departments. The RTIA does not employ any traffic officers. We do not issue any traffic fines. We are sitting as an independent arbiter where we would then adjudicate over those representations. And this is the first kind of assurance of independence that we're giving. But the good thing further about the Aarto is it is not only one mechanism that has been provided. It is a dual process that solidifies the assurance to the infringer, because in the likely event where an infringer is not happy with the outcome of the representation that the RTIA has adjudicated over, there is a second mechanism whereby we now have a new structure that is established called the Infringement Appeals Tribunal. They would be specializing in overseeing everything that we're doing. When the RTIA has adjudicated and you're not happy with the outcome, you have the right to go to that Infringement Appeals Tribunal. So an infringer is protected in that particular sense.
But this is all huge logistics that you're talking about. I mean, we're already in a situation where our courts are completely overburdened, and that trials sit waiting forever. Now they've got to deal, if I'm not mistaken, with things like this as well. It's going to bog up the system. I may be innocent, and yet the police officer said I'm guilty. So what I'm going to try and do is, won't this increase bribery? How are the courts going to handle this? Has this all been, obviously it's been thought out, but once it's in practice, logistically, this could turn into one of our biggest nightmares.
No, it wouldn't. And I'm happy that you mentioned the first point, that the courts are overburdened. And this is also one of the key interventions that have been made, the benefits that would be related thereto. When one goes to court and you are found guilty, you run the risk of getting and attracting a criminal record. When you're dealing with the Aarto, you want to get a criminal record for committing infringements. That is the first benefit that you have, because attracting a criminal record would actually harm your chances of either getting further employment and doing other types of business. That is the first benefit that the Aarto gives. Secondly, we're taking advantage of the situation we're currently living in. This is the world of highly technological advancements, and one will be able to interact with the RTIA on an electronic basis. So instead of waiting to go to court, and we know of cases that have taken even greater than 2 years. That is the reason why the Deputy Director of the National NDPP issued a directive that any outstanding traffic matters that had not been dealt with in a period of 2 years must automatically be cancelled. Now, in terms of the Aarto, you now have stringent timeframes that empowers an infringer to interact with the system instead of waiting for a very long time. From day one, you can be able to interact with the system by submitting your representation, nominating a driver, or exercising any of your rights, even electronically. with the RTIA, and that is the first kind of empowerment that we will be able to have.
Bribery, corruption, all of these things, we know it happens. Don't you think this will just increase the bribery happening on roads?
We have also thought about those things, and we provided for protective mechanisms. And our responsibility is to be able to balance the rights of law enforcement vis-a-vis the rights of infringers. At the end, the ultimate aim is to have a comprehensive and integrated approach of increasing road safety and dealing with the attendant challenges to that respect. If you look at an infringer, when we implemented the demerit points, one of the greatest things that we want, I've mentioned an example where an infringer has been cited by the side of the road, and if he feels hard done by, he's got the power to be able to challenge that. How do we protect an infringer? We have to recognize that it takes two to tango. For a law enforcement officer supposedly to want to source a bribe, must take that particular motorist to also be willing to participate by offering that bribe. If that motorist is not willing, yes, there is that possibility that the officer might then want to be able to cite them. The motorist has power to then challenge that by submitting that representation to the RTIA. The second protective mechanism that we have put in, there is nobody that would have access to a demerit points record, including the law enforcement officers. Because if they were to have access to the demerit point status of a particular motorist by the side of the road, then the possibilities of ingenious and innovative things that come might actually be elevated. And in that respect, the infringer and the motorist is protected because they're the only ones that would know this is the status of my demerit points. We've done the best that we can to ensure that we protect even the motorist and make sure everybody understands their responsibilities in that respect.
Very quickly, the Minister of Transport has said that it is too late on this. This is going into law. This is going to happen.
It is law.
It is law, that's it. It's now law. It's going to go into the Government Gazette. So we, as the public, our time to comment on this is over.
Let me first emphasize, yes, the time to comment is over. But let me emphasize the fact that the Aarto is one of the few pieces of legislation that has been intensively engaged upon. When we started with the first draft of the amendment bill was in 2013, and it was published. We took it, and it spent for a period of about 2.5 years at NETLEC, taking discussions and input made by representatives of business, labor, community and social organizations. Further, when it was tabled at the National Parliament, it was on the 12th of November in 2015, the Portfolio Committee took an even extra step by publishing it on 3 separate occasions, inviting members of the public. And some of the critiques of the system, your Justice Project South Africa, the Outer, they had opportunity to not only comment, but they were even invited physically to present at Parliament. Now, it cannot be that in this public space, when people are debating over ideas, if my idea doesn't see the light of day, if I don't win the argument, and then I want to be able to pour cold water on it. People can make any claims about the unconstitutionality or anything that they say. We can proudly say and give assurance to every South African citizen, there is absolutely nothing unconstitutional about the Aarto. There is nothing wrong. It has been subjected to intensive legal and constitutional scrutiny. And as government, we are saying we have taken comments from all the interested parties, including people in the local district throughout the country when it was tabled at the provincial legislatures. And government is doing its best to be able to protect the lives of ordinary citizens, that anybody that goes out to enjoy the use of the road infrastructure network can do so with an assurance, knowing that they can leave their point of departure and safely arrive at their destination.
And Outer saying that they want to take this to the Constitutional Court. They are going to challenge this bill, as well as other organizations. Are you quite satisfied that everything is in order and that their challenge will fail?
Absolutely. We are not phased at all. And we want to give assurance to every South African citizen. Everything else that has been done is constitutional. It is now the law. The time for debate has come to an end. We need to be able to gather together everybody else's contribution to make sure that we can protect the lives of South African citizens. Right. It is a constitutional imperative.
Let's leave it there for this morning, Japh. Thank you very much for talking to us. Japh Chuwe is the CEO of the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, talking to us about this Aarto Bill and that demerit system that has been signed into law. It must just appear in the Government Gazette, and then you and I will obviously be governed by this and how we drive, and we can get those points against us and our license revoked. And I'm sure there'll be a big educational drive around all of this. Absolutely. And how exactly it's going to work, but we'll be following that story. Let's take a break. We'll see you after this.